Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United 2, Nottingham Forest 0. In really difficult circumstances, Manchester United surely have put a big hand on top four. You know what? Thursday night was devastating, wasn't it? Losing your two best centre-backs. Rashford's already out, Shaw's out, Sabitzer gets injured before the game. We're depleted and it's a quick turnaround. Thursday to Sunday, Forest are at home, they're good at home, they're in a relegation battle, and I felt that we dominated that game by going on the front foot. I think Ten Hag's tactics today, we've spoken about this a few times, he's had a couple of times where he's got it wrong, but in the main this season he's been incredibly on point. What did he do today? He went on the front foot. I think Eriksen was superb, Bruno brilliant, Antony fantastic, Martial as well up front, Casemiro the steady Eddie, conducting and protecting. A fantastic performance. Delo at left back, brilliant performance there as well. De Gea, are we going to get a shout out for his distribution? I don't think he's had a game like that ever for United. I think all in all, fantastic. So do your player ratings, links in the video description. Mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. But there's a few things. I mean, look, Bruno Fernandes got man of the match on the TV. I think you could battle that with Antony. But I do want to talk off with Antony because I noticed this a lot. I think the obsession with British passport players is ridiculous in the general media in this country. But I think also it goes the other way with foreign players. I think there's a real desire and appetite to cast Antony as some sort of flop. And I don't get it. It's a debut season in the Premier League. The reality is Jack Grealish went from Aston Villa to Manchester City. His debut season for Man City, statistically, is nowhere near as good as what Antony's done. And Antony's never played in this league. It's ridiculous. You know, he did that little, this fidget spin and he cost 85 million and people just want him to be a failure. And I'm like, I actually watched Antony play for Ajax, as I'm sure many of you did. And I've watched him play for Man United, and he's a stranger because he's not that player yet. And I think the second goal today, where he gets the ball, travels, skips past the player and plays Delo in, that's the Antony really. That's the player I was excited about as buying. And it's taking time for him to get that, it's taking time for him to adjust to the Premier League. The way the Premier League is different to the Eredivisie. It's taken him time to bring those aspects of his game out. And Ten Hag's been hinting about it for ages. And gradually over the last few weeks, I think we've seen a real development with Antony. I think that's his best game. A goal and an assist. It was a delightful assist as well. I'm over the moon with him. People really trying to say Antony's worse than Mudryk is ridiculous. As I say, the Antony media obsession to call him a flop is just, it's a bit like saying Martinez is too small to play in the Premier League. Minds have been made up because of how he looks or what he does with the ball. They've just made their minds up without actually knowing anything about his career or actually understanding, what a good player he is. Big shout out to Antony. Massive shout out to Ten Hag. I think we could have won. I mean, Navas was man of the match. Their goalkeeper was man of the match. If we'd have drawn that game, it would have been criminal. You get a crime report for fraud, robbery, theft. They didn't deserve anything from that game. They never got their crowd up. They never really created anything. I mean, look, in the second half, it's 1-0. The cross comes in. For some reason, Maguire's planted his feet like flowers and he's not moving. And that player should have probably scored, but he glanced it. But apart from that, the low mistake in the first half where the same player put it over the bar. But they didn't really create anything. I mean, the only thing they can moan about was it a penalty? Well, as I said, Pulisic yesterday did the same thing, no penalty, so it's consistently not a penalty, whatever you think. Awesome match, great to see Antony flourish. Eriksen reminding us how important he can be too, says Kieran. Well, we've said this about Eriksen, haven't we? When we didn't have Eriksen, we spent weeks saying we don't create as many good chances without Eriksen and we don't knit the defence to the attack without Eriksen. And that's exactly what he did today. It was horrible to see Sabitzer miss out, but could we have replicated the same performance with Sabitzer? Maybe we could have done, but it would have been hard to have a better performance. So look, fingers crossed Sabitzer's not out for long because we'll talk about Thursday in a minute, but Eriksen is so subtly effective. It's amazing. Coming into the season, there were questions around Bruno's Hollywood passes, and I think it's very easy to say that he's blown all my hopes. I was worried about it as well, I was worried about it. I'm a massive fan of Bruno. I think maybe I even fell into the trap of thinking that Bruno would become surplus to requirements under Ten Hag, who traditionally tends to like a more measured, less risk-taking number 10. But Bruno hasn't played at number 10 for bloody ages. He's been playing CDM, right wing, left wing, box to box. Today he played back at number 10. He was bloody brilliant. I'm really torn between Lindelof, Eriksen, Bruno and Antony for man of the match. All were great. Good game from Delo, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Martial as well, says L. And Mark, don't want to put a down on today's result, but is Champions League going to be a waste if we don't get investments, says Warrior. That's for the summer. We need a new owner. We know we need that. Lindelof can put a solid shift in when we need him. Should be first choice centre-back, says Rat. Look, I wasn't going to talk about Lindelof till the player ratings, but you've drawn me in. A couple of people have mentioned it. This is my major frustration. You watched that game today. How many times did the camera go to Harry Maguire? Harry Maguire got booked. He played bad passes. He nearly cost us a goal. He could have cost us a penalty. I thought he grew into the game. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but there was a few things there. Lindelof, flawless. I don't think the camera went to him once. How many questions get asked about Harry Maguire in press conferences and how many get asked about Lindelof? I've been saying this for a while. Lindelof is our third best centre-back. I don't want Lindelof to go. I think he is the absolute definitive example of a third choice centre-back. That is what you want in a third choice centre-back. He's not particularly fast, but he's not slow. He's not particularly good in the air, but he's not terrible. He's not particularly strong, but he's physical. He's not, he's not the best ball-playing centre-back, but he can basically fill in perfectly for both of our centre-backs. Now, we do need better than that, but if you compare Lindelof to Maguire, Maguire's got limitations, and we know what they are. Lindelof is just an all-round, reliable centre-back. And I don't think... This is what frustrates me. It's like this Maguire obsession because he's English, but Lindelof is better. Lindelof is a better third-choice centre-back. He's just put in a performance today that nobody will really talk about apart from the fans. The media won't talk about it because they're not interested. He's Swedish. He's not got an English passport. He doesn't play for England. It's constant talk about Maguire when actually Lindelof's just put in a brilliant performance. And I wish Lindelof was British because that's who our third choice centre-back should be. That's who the question should be about because he's too good to sit on the bench. He does a great job. And I'm fair play for people mentioning it because it doesn't get mentioned. I hope the injury De Gea had in the first half lingers into the season. Antony owned today, says David, says Larson. Don't know what you're talking about. We've called the last 5 games. Antony has played his best game. That shows clear and obvious progression, says that. And it's not a coincidence that Eriksen first game started and we dominated the entire game. His game control has been massively missed, says Barima. Welcome to the Members Club, says Alex. Thank you very much. Welcome thanks for that. We are going to do the player ratings in a minute, but I just want to talk about the challenges that Manchester United face ahead. That win today, that puts us 6 points ahead of Spurs with the game in hand. Spurs play Newcastle next weekend. We don't play next weekend because we've got Brighton. What a huge game that's going to be. Our run-in, when you look at the run-in, and I'm just going to get it for you now. I don't think I can put it on the screen, but I can definitely read it out for you. So we've got 59 points. I mean, if you want to celebrate that we've got more points than we got in the entirety of last season with 8 games to go, you can do. I don't celebrate that because last season was bloody rubbish and it's the worst ever Premier League total we've had. I want us to get 75 points this season. We've got 8 games to go. We've got 59 points, so we could do that. But when it comes to league games, we've got Tottenham away. We've got Villa at home. We've got Brighton away. We've got West Ham away. We've got Wolves at home. We've got Chelsea at home. We've got Bournemouth away. And we've got Fulham at home. Well, Fulham at home, 3 points. Bournemouth away, 3 points. Wolves at home, 3 points. West Ham away, 3 points. 12, 59, 71. We can't not be getting top 4 now. And that's assuming we lose 4 other games. Like, we only need 4 wins from 4 and we'll get top 4. Because nobody else is getting 70 points other than us and Newcastle. And Newcastle might not get it, but Spurs won't get 70 points. Villa won't get 70 points. Brighton won't get 70 points. Liverpool won't get 70 points. We need 4 wins from 8. If we can't get 4 wins from 8 with that attack, we're struggling. So... yeah, I think the top 4 is looking good. Lindelof's consistency is his best quality. He's vanilla. Great to see Antony and Sancho have solid performances. The drop-off from Martial to Voot, though, says Ben. Yeah, well, we need to work on that. We need Rashford back. Do people really want to get rid of a keeper who's in contention for the Golden Glove, says Asher. I'm not even going to talk about the De Gea thing, because De Gea's distribution was good today. So basically, the De Gea hate gang will hate it. Because not only did he get another clean sheet, his distribution was fantastic. So they've got nowhere to go. They've hung their hats on their peg and they've gone, I don't want De Gea, he's not a modern goalkeeper. He plays like a modern goalkeeper, he keeps a clean sheet, all they can do is hate, because he's absolutely nailed it. Clean sheet, distribution brilliant. I saw him hit 2 60-yard passes to Sancho. One landed on his feet and one nearly played him in one-on-one. So I just feel that De Gea today did everything that people want him to do and proved that he can do it. So, and he kept a clean sheet. Why people are obsessed with getting rid of him, I do not know, but, you know, they are. Finally, people are acknowledging Lindelof. Always puts on a good showing when needed. Team overall played well, and I can see the form building again, says LJ. And thought we should have started Fred over Eriksen, but Eriksen showed what he's all about, says Rat. And look, just before we do the player ratings, looking forward, Sevilla and Brighton are bigger games than this. They're harder games than this. And I can't wait for them now. I think after Thursday, I sensed it in you, and you probably sensed it in me. It was a bit flat. You know, 2 own goals, hard game today, hard game Thursday, hard game Sunday, Varane, Martinez out. You know, I admit I felt a bit downhearted, but today, fair play to the players and Ten Hag, they've got us feeling excited again. And we played well. We played as an attacking team. We played really, really well. And I think I look at Sevilla on Thursday and, you know, we're almost at the point in the league where we've basically got top 4. So let's bloody go for it, you know. We won't have Bruno. We won't have Varane. We won't have Martinez. I doubt we'll have Sabitzer, because if he's done something to his groin, it's only 4 days away. But, you know, we will have Casemiro and Eriksen. I don't know who plays at number 10. Hopefully Rashford's back. Maybe Martial does that job. I don't know. Mr. Fred, welcome to Members Club. But then on Sunday against Brighton, I think, well, Bruno will be back. We'll have Bruno, Eriksen, Casemiro. We won't have Maguire, but hopefully Shaw will be back. Delo at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Shaw left centre back, and Lindelof at centre. I think that actually might, dare I say it, I think our best centre back partnership is Lindelof and Shaw, potentially. I think Shaw is left centre back and Lindelof at right centre back. Potentially, I think that might be our best centre back pairing without Martinez and Varane. We'll see how it works against Brighton. I'm only speculating about it, but if you want a bit of mobility, and they're both around 6 foot, so you're not necessarily weak in the air, we'll have to wait and see. Harry and Victor is scary, but Victor and Kim Min-jae seems to put my mind at ease. Let's hope we get Kim Min-jae, says Alex. Well, you've got to persuade Lindelof to stay first, haven't you? Phil says Sancho's better than Anthony. But Phil, you're the sort of prat we don't want in the fan base. I'm being serious. You know I can be comical and sarcastic, but I'm being serious, Phil. Why would you even say that? You're either a troll or a prat. Who gives a shit if you think Sancho's better than Anthony? They both play for Man United. We don't need that sort of thing. What we need is these are young players with future at the club. Maybe Sancho won't work out. Maybe he will work out. But we need to develop these young players. We don't need to have 2 wingers on opposite sides arguing who's better. I mean, it's bad enough having Rashford against Saka, one on the left, one on the right, but at least they're Arsenal and Man United players. But why would you ever try and create a divide between Sancho and Anthony in the fan base? There's no point. Great to see Anthony playing with the freedom of a player in a good place. I hope Sancho can reach the same level of confidence as Anthony. Well, he's got opportunities, Mike. He's getting the games. I feel like Sancho still has so much more to give. It's a lack of confidence still. Yeah, well, let's do the player ratings, because I think that allows us to individualise these chats. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way, and make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. So, look, generally very positive about the game, of course, but also the players. It's not easy after a result like Sunday to bounce back like that, and I think they've done really, really well. But let's go into the player ratings. So, for me, David De Gea today, and I'm really pleased to give him this. I don't think he had a real save to make, but I'm going to give him a 7, because the thing that he can make a brilliant one-on-one save. He can pull off a worldie. He can get a clean sheet, and still people will go, yeah, but his distribution's shit. So I'm going to give him a 7 today, because he didn't pull off a worldie. He didn't actually have to make a save, but his distribution was brilliant. So I'm going to listen to the haters and say, well, you put so much value on distribution, so I'm going to give him a 7, because it was very good. Wan-Bissaka, probably 6.5 for me today. Didn't put a foot wrong. I think he's almost a victim of his consistency, because an average performance of 6 for Wan-Bissaka is very, very good. So I'd give him slightly above that. It's just so consistent. I'm confused. Dalot is going to sign a new contract. Wan-Bissaka's been brilliant, but we want to sign Frimpong. So one of them's going. The only logical thing I think is that Wan-Bissaka wants to leave, but it doesn't make any sense to me. He's been so consistent since Christmas. Maguire, I might shock a few people. I'm going to give him a 6. I understand the 5.5. Look, it was a terrible start. His passing was bad. The yellow card was silly. Second half, that striker gets a jump on him. £80 million centre-back who's good in the air. That shouldn't happen. But I also think he did stabilise after a bad start. And I think we need Maguire to stabilise over the next few weeks because we've got nobody else. So I'm very comfortable giving him a 6. Average Harry Maguire performance. I'll take that over what, the start of it could have gone a lot worse. So fair play for stabilising. I'm more than happy to give him a 6 today. Lindelof, 7. I do think there was a clear difference between Maguire and Lindelof, a point difference. Like, if you give Maguire a 7, you've got to give Lindelof an 8. He was flawless. He didn't make any mistakes. He didn't lose his man once. His covering, there were times they tried to play him behind. The passing, positional sense, the tackling. From minute 1 to minute 90, he was flawless, and we've spoken about that. So fair play to Lindelof. I think you've got to give Dalot a 7 as well. He scored a goal. Like, I would have given him a 6.5, like Wan-Bissaka, but he scored a goal. And he took it really well. At no point, apart from that one, and he intercepted well, he just controlled it badly, and there was that shot in the first half. But considering he's not really the left-back, his performance compared to Malacia on Thursday was very, very different. And I wonder on Thursday night I put it to you, if you had to choose between Dalot and Malacia on Thursday night, where would you go? Because I would go Dalot. I don't like doing that because you haven't got cover for Wan-Bissaka, but I would go Dalot. You're dividing Mark, comparing Weghorst to Martial, says the Riot Sessions. I would go with Dalot on Thursday night over Malacia. And I like Malacia. I do like Malacia, but I think I'd go with Dalot. I thought it was very impressive. Gifted a membership there, Shane. Thank you very much for that. Into the midfield. Look, I think Casemiro's got to have a 6.5, and I do agree with that. A lot of people said he was a little bit quiet. He was protecting. I think it was a subtle role, a bit like Eriksen, but even more subtle. He was protecting the back four. When did they ever really get in a position? This is how good Casemiro was today. The only time they really got at Maguire or Lindelof was by trying to play it into the channels. When did they ever really run at the back four? They didn't. There was never a time I can remember where Forest got to run at the back four. And that's because Casemiro was shielding. I agree he's not as dominant as he was before the suspension. In his last couple of games, he's not been quite there. Is that because he's missed a few games and he's got to get his sharpness back? But I don't think it was an average performance by any means. Eriksen was a 7 and a very, very good 7. To come into a game when you were going to be on the bench, and I think he has looked rusty the last 2 after his injury. Remember, he's been out for 3 months. He makes such a difference to that team. We noticed it when he was injured. We mentioned it at the start of the video. The way he knits the play, we create better chances with him in the team. And what I loved especially, and we can move it on to Bruno here, what I loved especially about his performance today, Eriksen and everybody, was that many people said that when Rashford came out of the team and Martial came into the team, we might see a different Man United. I don't know whether that's the reason. Personally, I think Martial, the reason isn't that Rashford's out the team. I think the reason Martial is in the team is we're playing a lot more intricate passing. We're actually going through the build-up phase a lot more effectively with more passing and movement, and it's a lot better on the eye. Welcome to the Members Club, Andy. Appreciate that. Bruno for me today would be an 8. I'm so locked between these two players on who to give man of the match. I'm actually going to do them both at the same time and give them both an 8. You've given them a 7.9, so we're high five. We're absolutely spot on in what we both think. All of us think both an 8. Bruno from minute 1 to minute 90 again, bit like Lindelof, was brilliant. the speed in which he played the first pass for the first goal that Martial got the shot away and Antony followed off was brilliant. Most people take a touch. He was on it from the start. He knows he's not playing on Thursday. It was almost an inspiration to him. It's ridiculously hard not to give Bruno Fernandes man of the match. But on the other hand, that's Antony's best game, and he's got a goal and an assist. And I think that if this was... I'm surprised, actually. You know what? I'll call this out. On Sky, they've given Bruno man of the match. But if Rashford had a goal and assist, they'd give it to Rashford. So is that not another example of Antony and the media? They just don't want to give him the credit. Because I've seen Rashford score in a game, and other people have been better, and Rashford gets man of the match. So I'm going to go Antony man of the match, because I think goal and assist and his best game. But it's really hard not to give it to Bruno, who was fantastic. But we'll see what you give it to. Sancho, probably 6.5 for me. I think there's a bit of a witch hunt around Jadon Sancho. I think there's more to come. I agree with the super chat. I think there's more to come from Jadon Sancho. But, it was better. It was definitely better than what it was against Sevilla. And look, Jadon Sancho's big challenge, and nobody can argue about this, is if Marcus Rashford's fit, he's out the team. Because Rashford plays off the left, Antony off the right, Martial through the middle. So Jadon Sancho sat on the bench. Jadon Sancho costs 75 million and is on 300 grand a week, apparently. You can't be on the bench with those figures. So Sancho has to improve. He has to. I know that. I'm a fan of his, but he's got to improve. You can't be a bench player on those numbers. So he's got to improve. But on the other hand, I think we are starting to see improvement. So I think patience is still the word with Sancho. At some point, there'll be a tipping point. He'll either make it in the first team or he won't. But we're not at that point yet. So I think encouragement and patience is still very important. Nelson says, Mark, you're a legend and we don't always see eye to eye, and it's only because I'm 6'3". No one wants to pass to Voot. It's unreal, says Nelson. Thank you very much. Martial, I'd be bordering, but 6.6? What? I can't speak. 6.6 for Anthony Martial? And people were saying give Maguire a 6.5? Are you having a laugh? What game are you watching? Anthony Martial, I thought I was going to give him a 7 and thought people would say it should be a 7.5. I don't know what's going on there. Is the Martial hate club still in existence then? 6.5? What game were you watching? He was all over the place. Link up play, selfless running, holding the ball up, little shots here and there. Should have scored a header at the end, I'll give him that. But I think Martial was easily a 7. Easily a 7. 6.5's taking a piss. I thought Martial played well today, and there was a big difference when he came off. Weghorst, 6. I'll be generous. If we'd drawn the game or lost the game, I would give him a 5.5, but we won, so I'll give him a 6. He is what he is. He'll run around. He'll give you everything, but he's a bit limited, isn't he? We know that. Fred barely noticed, so I'll give him a 6. Ten Hag today, got to give him an 8. Some people have gone a little bit lower, but I thought the way we attacked the game, I said this before the game, it would be very interesting to see whether he sits back or goes on the front foot, counter-attack. Maguire and Lindelof might play a deeper line. We didn't. We went on the front foot. They had 2 quick players up front, still went on the front foot. Maguire gets a yellow card, still stays on the front foot. So fair play to Ten Hag. He had a game plan and he stuck to it. And I think he fancied us today. Sancho, easily most confusing player on the team. Fundamentals so good, yet he seems just not to be able to find the intricacies he had in Dortmund, says Reece. I think he pushes it too far sometimes. I think sometimes he tries things that he should simplify. I'd love to see David improve his passing game, though definitely could have claimed some of those corners. Good game regardless, says Michael. Thank you very much. Well, there's always something new to have a go at De Gea for, isn't there? The reality is he's going to win the Golden Glove at this rate. Right, let's have a look at who your man of the match is. This is going to be really interesting. I think you'll go Bruno. Oh, he's won it. He's bloody won it. Antony with 51% of the vote. Smash a like on the video. I think it's his very first man of the match on the United stand this season. I think he's been close a couple of times, but man of the match by quite a way. Bruno only had 32% of the vote. So, I say only 32%. Bruno probably, there's no problem with going for Bruno Fernandes as man of the match. He was brilliant today, but I'm really pleased that people have gone with Antony because I think a lot of it's just about, we got a goal and assist. He's been you know, completely slagged off for no reason by the media, really. And that was his best game. And I loved the assist on the second goal, because it's normally an assist. You get the ball, you play the pass. But he actually carried the ball before it was a bit of dribbling before it. Martial is everywhere but in the box. There are a few crosses from Bruno in the box, but Martial was not in the box. So it's cold water. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, Antony man of the match is fantastic. Antony masterclass is what I called the video. So yeah, really, really pleased with Antony today. And look, we've got a bit of momentum. We've got a bit of momentum to build on. We've got such an exciting week now. No Premier League game for a bit, but 2 big cup games, a semi-final and a quarter-final to get into a semi-final. I'm really excited now. You know, last couple of days I've been a bit flat, a bit worried. And today I feel really buzzing again. And, you know, we know that Maguire can't play next Sunday against Brighton. And I'm thinking Lindelof and Shaw will do a job. We know that Bruno can't play. And Sabitzer probably won't play on Thursday. But I'm thinking maybe Rashford's back. We can do a job. We're back. Look, what did I say on the preview? Every game now is a battle. You can't go into a game going, we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to win. Every game's going to be a battle. We battled today and we won. Thursday's a battle. I'm not going to predict we're going to win. Sunday's going to be a battle. I'm not going to predict we're going to win. These are good teams. Villa in the league, we're going to have to battle. Spurs away in the league, we're going to have to battle. But in some ways, is that not what's exciting? Every game's going to be a battle now. Bring it on. Bring it on. The attack is a different animal when Martial plays, so Stephen, absolutely spot on. Jerome gifted 5 memberships, by the way. What a legend he is. Thank you very much to Jerome. Let's go over to the fan forum. Beth's there. She's got to give De Gea credit today for his distribution. She's got to. Will she? Let's find out.